Hi, I am Skylab's Timelines, and this is the 29th episode of Norindus. So, Norindus makes a short comeback for this and the next episode, after which it should be wrapped up. But, or let's say, unless you want to see something else. Anyway, so this is a naming episode. I'm going to name pretty much every street, road, public building, and so on, and districts and stuff like that. With something. All of the material is available for free in my Patreon page, so go check them out if you're that interested. I will also, at the same time, talk about the naming conventions here in Finland, which is probably quite similar to Sweden as well. I mean, we do have a lot of common history. Don't know about the conventions in Russia, but probably very similar as well. Like, these kind of make sense in a way. But yeah, first we talk, and well, first example is from the countryside, how to name places and streets, or roads rather, in countryside. And the first tip is like what hunter-gatherers or early farmers would have seen in the place that usually gives, or well, maybe not usually, but quite often would give a name for the place. And this is actually, besides the fact that it's also like you could sort of inherit that, okay, there were these people who believed in, let's say, pagan religion, and we used to have generation after generation, it would just come all the way to this day, the name. But also in Finland, there used to be these Sami people living in Finland who are now living in the way up north, northern Lapland. They used to live here and here in more southern parts of Finland, and gave a lot of names, a lot of place names to us. So that's one thing. Another very, very common, well, I don't dare to say the most common, but probably the most common way to name a village, a Finnish farming village, is to take a name of a house that is very central to the village. It obviously depends on how big the village is. The bigger it is, the less likely it is going to get this kind of name. But yeah, a lot of them do. So some person makes a house, gives a name to it, and then that house name gives a name to the entire village. That's very common. And usually the road that leads to the house is named after the house. That is definitely the most common way to name rural roads. Another thing that might give especially places the names is trying to see the dominating natural features, like if there is a waterfall or something, or a very steep hill, or something like that. That usually gives at least some idea for the name that the locals would have started to use. So, and that's quite obvious even. Okay, coming for the urban area. First of all, place names in urban area. The first example is like old villages turned into a district, which means that some urban districts do get their named a similar way. Like there has been that old house that have given the name for the village, and the village would have given the name for the future district, for example. So that's that. Another example for place names in urban area, Swedish names, made sound into more something that Finnish people would say. So Finnish people would or Finnish-speaking people would have heard Swedish-speaking people talk about something and then just kind of like pick that up, but then also change it a little bit so that it fits better to our mouth. Let's remember that there is a very influential Swedish-speaking minority in Finland. Basically, from the times that we used to be part of Sweden, and then all the nobles who got their mansions and stuff like that were Swedish-speaking people coming from Sweden. They were more rich and stuff like that. So, yeah, they kind of had their own things, and then the Finnish heard them and then just picked up how they said it and tried to make it fit better to our language. So that's one way. Also, and other very common is used to use historical events or names. Well, events for the urban area isn't actually that common, but like historical names. Well, if the event had located in the said district, then that's one way to give so that the historical event could have given a name for the said district. But also the historical names, like historical figures, like kings, tsars in our case as well, and other important people of the history could give names to the urban areas. One thing that could also give a name for an urban area, for the place especially, is dominating buildings or spots. Like, for example, if there would be a stadium somewhere, that could give a name, and so on. So, or very some kind of a spot that does have a function, or like a marketplace or something, they could easily give a name for a district. So that's one thing. Something more common these days, like when cities do build a new suburb or a district somewhere, they tend to, well, they might have some inspiration somewhere that has something to do with the place, but for someone who isn't local and doesn't see that feature, thinks that it sounds kind of random. Like, let's say, well, the example that I'm going to use is related to birds, and that place doesn't seem like it has anything to do with the birds. It might have, or it might not have something to do with the birds. So that's one thing, and then that theme obviously carries into the street names as well. Okay, then there might be some odd local events or places that might give the street names. One thing that comes to my mind, and which is in the example as well, is the usage of lion, or, well, pretty much any animal that has something to do with the area. Like there are no lions in Finland apart from zoos, but it was once acclaimed in a small town of Ruokolahti that they had seen lion, or at least its footprints, and that sort of gave a theme for the entire municipality, and a lot of places named after that. So that's one way. Okay, I think we're finished. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Remember to comment If you want to see more of Norindus, I mean, the next is just fly over and admiring the city overall. That's just what the next episode and the last episode is going to be. But if you want to see more, let me know. But anyway, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe and stuff.